when we have openings, but because again, we're very selective on who we pick, and it's not, you could have the most talent and say, wow, you have all these certifications and training certificates, and wow, you would really make us better police officers. But if you don't have the culture, you're not going to get through the process, and you probably won't even, you may not even get an interview, depending. So we have a pretty good screening process, and we're very deliberate on who we hire, and that's for our security officers and our police officers. We're kind of set up uniquely with our department. Our security officers are a force multiplier for the protection of our university, because, I mean, sadly, there is evil in this world, and Christian universities, Christian schools, churches are a target. So, we have to, I don't say be creative, but we have to be prepared.
Fire and water me, going down deep, sing, oh, oh, bury me, carry me, oh, oh, far beneath, oh, oh, fire and water me, watching me sing, sing, free, yeah. Oh, free, down to the river. Down to the river.
Hey everybody, time for another episode of Sheepdog and Shepherd. It is all about God's hand in law and order, and I am very excited to have a very special guest all the way out from, well, I mean, you're still on the East Coast, right?
They say it's the East Coast. They also say it's the South, which I disagree with, coming from South Florida, but yeah, from Lynchburg, Virginia.
Speaking of Southerners, I got my co-host, Pastor Greg. Why don't you tell them all who you are?
Yeah, my name is Greg Farah. I am the pastor here at the Church of 1122, where we are located today at our Bay Meadows campus. I pastor our prisons and first responder ministry. I'm a chaplain with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. This is my buddy Kyle, our co-host.
You know, I got to tell you, we just came off of a week of, it's called Saturated here at the Church of 1122, and it's sort of our revival, for lack of a better term, right? Different pastors from all over. I got my Redeemed hat. That's quite the conversation starter. But last week we had a very special night on Sunday night. We had a guest preacher come in, and it was a men's worship night. And I thought, man, how many guys are going to actually come out for this, right? It's a Sunday night. We've just spent, the morning in service.
Sunday night football.
Jags were playing. And man, we got to 1122 to the St. John's campus about half an hour before it began. There was a line almost a mile long to get into the parking lot. Man, I really think that revival is here. I think people are, the tide has turned, and we are seeing people once again go, you know what, maybe that whole defund the police movement was a bad idea. Maybe that didn't make much sense. And now, especially in the last couple of weeks after what happened to our friend Charlie, the ICE shooting that just happened, more school shootings, I think that we are finally seeing our nation turn back to God, and it is incredibly encouraging. So a lot of that's happening at college campuses, so it was very fitting to have you here. So why don't you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
My name's Jerry Irwin. I'm the Chief of Police at Liberty University Police Department. Been there just under 2 years now, originally from Coral Springs Police Department, where I did a little over 29 years, retired as a captain, and God brought me to Liberty. That's a theme around Liberty, is God brings people there, and it really is true, because I had no intention on going there, didn't know about it, never considered it. It's amazing when you surrender to God what He has in store for you, and it's been a great experience for me and my family, and I'm literally living the dream right now. It's fantastic.
So our audience is a mix, right? Young, middle-aged, old, really old, Greg's age old. But for people who may not be familiar with Liberty, talk to us a little bit about the values of the university. Okay,
well, Liberty University was started by Dr. Jerry Falwell. Was his vision, and it's really the main purpose or the mission of Liberty University is training champions for Christ. They're a Christian university, and basically it's Christian values. It's creating strong Christian men and women, and part of becoming a Christian is going out there and being good disciples too, and sharing the gospel and sharing the word of God with others. And it's they do a phenomenal job. Amazing kids at that school, and I call them kids. They're college age. Most of them are adults, but to me, I'm in the same age category, so I won't take that.
Oh, see, now I feel bad.
But we call them kids, but they're amazing people and are doing fantastic things. And really, you talk about a revival. I think the theme at our police department is, hey, we're protecting kids that are one day going to change the world for the better.
For sure.
What's been beautiful to see at Liberty is that in an age where it seems like everything is woke, you are helping people wake up to Jesus.
Yes.
And I think that's so incredible, man. I think that the fortitude that takes, even in this age where, hiring, we are told we have to be super careful and follow certain guidelines, and you can't talk about faith, right? We do at all of our companies. We ask people without question how they feel about God. Now, we'll never discriminate against anybody and say we won't hire you, but culture is so important in any organization, especially an organization that has the future of young people's lives hanging in the balance. How do you navigate that?
Well, I'll speak on behalf of the police department because we are part of Liberty University. The people we hire and bring in to serve at the police department, and serve is the key word there. It's a mission. It's not a job. It's more of a mission. We look for, I call it the 3 C's. We look for character. You have to have a good character about you. And then we look for competency. We have to have people that can do the job. Not everybody's meant for every job. There are certain jobs I can't do throughout the university. I wouldn't even try. I'd be a disaster at them, and it would do no good. But we have to have competency, and not necessarily that you're turnkey and you're ready to go, but that you're trainable. And then the third part, you kind of hit on it, and it's very important. It's culture, because culture is huge at Liberty University. It's a Christian culture, and I'm not saying we don't have to. We're not hiring necessarily pastors to be police officers and security officers, but you can't be against the culture. You have to support the culture, because everything we do at Liberty is to support the culture and the mission, the overall mission. Everybody has a small piece of the puzzle or piece of the pie to train champions for Christ. So Liberty University Police Department has that, and we need the people with the correct culture, because we deal with the students, we'll pray with the students, and that's important, and that's what our parents expect, because that's what we tell them we're going to do, and that doesn't happen anywhere else. It may happen a couple places that I'm not aware of, but we do things at Liberty that nobody else does. I mean, no other police department does, especially where I'm originally from. And that can include, every day at briefings, we do a devotional. We pray out every day at briefings. We pray with the kids. Liberty University has convocation three times. They have 2 convocations in one campus community at night, and we have some phenomenal speakers. And then we do a staff and faculty convocation where all the employees go there and pray. And the first time I went to one of those, I was texting my wife. I said, "You're not going to believe this." I go, "I'm getting paid right now to be in a convo, to worship, and they're paying me for it. This is unbelievable." We definitely made the right decision.
One of the things that is so inspiring to me is that you guys are true testament to what Christianity is. And what I mean by that is, people often go, well, you can't mix business and religion, right? But I think people fail to realize that Christianity isn't just about religion, right? Like if we look biblically, Jesus called out the Pharisees. He had all sorts of issues with organized religion. However, what you're doing here and your officers are doing is they are the light of Christ in their actions, not necessarily in preaching, but in the way that they treat people. There was a great example that you had shared with me recently about what happened at graduation with one of your officers. You want to share that story?
Sure. Our commencement, it's a 3-day And it's a crazy 3 days for us and our emergency management team and those that put it on, because it's not just the people on campus graduating, it's all of the online, and we have,
right.
you know, at any time we can have 60,000 people on campus. We could have 5 graduations going on at the same time in different buildings. But the main commencement, which is the Friday night, there was a family that had a special needs child with autism, and he was having an episode, and the mother just couldn't, not necessarily control him, couldn't get him to come with them so she can sit down and watch the commencement for the child that was graduating. One of our police officers, Officer Lewis, went and talked to the child, and he seemed to be okay with him talking to him. So, and I think it's a picture I sent you. He sat down, and I forgot what they were sitting on, a cooler or something, and he sat down with him for almost an hour and built a rapport with him. And you know, the child, hey, can I touch your badge and all this stuff, built a rapport. And he said, hey, can we go back to the seats? I can, you know, I'll carry you. Can I carry you? And this is a big child if you look at the picture. So Officer Lewis carried him for a distance, you know, until he couldn't, and got a some type of cart and kind of gave him a fun ride back to it, back to the seats where the whole family can watch the commencement together. The mom posted something, and it was, I think I saw it on the Liberty Parent page, because I'm a parent, so I still keep in tune to the parent page. And I saw that, and I said, wow. I contacted the mother who wrote that article. I said, would it be okay if I share this article? She was asking the officer's name, so I told her the officer's name, and she said, absolutely. And that thing went, it just blew up, really with shares when you look at the shares. But I think they told me it had over, and I'm not really good with the social media, but over 100,000 views on all of the shares.
That's good
combined,
stuff.
which is really good for Liberty, you know.
Yeah.
And again, that's one thing that was just captured. But we do stuff like that all the time, and I say we, it's really the officers over there. They do all the work. I just get to sit back and watch and enjoy the show. But that's the type of work we do every day, whether you know, somebody's depressed because they're away from home for the first time, or they're stressed out because of exams, or you know, something didn't go well, or they're concerned. It's not unusual for our officers to sit and just pray with them for a while. And I get emails from parents all the time saying, hey, I don't know who this officer was, but they prayed with my kid, and that's amazing. And that's what we want to do. And that's why I say we're a mission. You know, it's a mission, almost a ministry, I guess. But that's what I think separates us from all the rest. And again, we still have the talent to take care of business if we have to take care of business and do the police work. But we have, addition, people who can adapt to the culture and be part of the culture at Liberty.
I love that, man. I think the boldness is great. You know, Pastor Greg introduced me to an incredible female officer with Jacksonville Police Department who was on one of our episodes. Does that not remind you
For sure.
of her?
Yeah, changing culture in agencies all across the country is something that you're starting to see, and I think it's part of that revival that you're talking about.
Totally.
You're seeing command staffs all over the world, or all over the country, just understanding that not just the mental health crisis, but the need to bring Jesus and God back into the forefront of what's happening across all of our communities is so critical that they're pushing it from the top down.
Well, look, man, I mean, Sheriff Waters allowed us to go in and film Time A praying with other officers.
Yeah.
You are paid to be a chaplain. Like, where we're from, man, up in the People's Republic of Connecticut, you're not allowed to talk about God, period. So the idea of having a chaplain and the idea of having some incredible senior leadership in an agency or in a department that would say, yeah, I would encourage you all to start every shift in prayer. I would encourage you to pray with the community. That is unheard of in other parts of the country. So that's why seeing your leadership is incredible. I have to imagine you're flooded with applications. You guys have any job openings right now?
We do, and I want the name of that sergeant from Jacksonville. I'm going to try to recruit her. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
she's sitting right over
behind
there
you
right
over
now
there.
watching. So
I have to see where she's at in her career and bring her up to Liberty if she so chooses. But we do have a lot of applicants. We have a good screening because when we have openings, but because again, we're very selective on who we pick, and it's not, you could have the most talent and say, wow, you have all these certifications and training certificates, and wow, you would really make us better police officers. But if you don't have the culture, you're not going to get through the process, and you probably won't even, you may not even get an interview, depending. So we have a pretty good screening process, and we're very deliberate on who we hire, and that's for our security officers and our police officers. We're kind of set up uniquely with our department. Our security officers are a force multiplier for the protection of our university, because I mean, sadly, there is evil in this world, and Christian universities, Christian schools, churches are a target. So, we have to, I don't want to say be creative, but we have to be prepared, not from a state of fear, but from a state of preparedness for any of this stuff.
Tell us a little bit about your faith journey personally.
My faith journey is very unique. I grew up Jewish. I went to about 7 years of Hebrew school.
Plot twist.
Was bar mitzvahed, and shortly after my bar mitzvah, I actually went to an Orthodox sleepaway camp. My teacher, he recommended me. The men's club sponsored somebody to go to Orthodox sleepaway camp, and I was the one they picked for all the wrong reasons, because at my Hebrew school, most people after they got bar mitzvah, they just stopped going to Hebrew school. I only had about another month to go, and if we graduated, we got to go to Epcot. So that's why I went. And I'm just being honest. I know that's wrong, but it's the truth.
No, it's not, man.
So he thought it was the greatest thing, that I wanted to continue with it, but it was such false pretenses. But anyway, while working at a restaurant, I met my wife. She was. I was friends with her sister, who was a waitress. She became a counter help, and we just worked there for years. Never dated or anything like that. She was totally the opposite of me. Very good Christian. She was smart, straight A's. Totally the opposite of me, right? And for a while, I was trying to set her up with my best friend, and it just never went through. And there was one point I asked her sister. I said, "Man, we got to get her and Dave together." She goes, "She doesn't like Dave," and I don't know why I said this. I said, "Well, then who does she like?" And she looked at me. She goes, "You haven't figured it out yet?" And I'm thinking, why would she like me? I am total opposite from her. But we went out on a date, and we dated for quite some time. Graduated, I think it was the summer before my senior year in high school when we started dating. Then there was a time I went away to the University of South Florida here in Tampa, on the other side there. And we broke up for a while, then we got back together, and then she kind of gave me an ultimatum. She says, and I started going to church with her a couple times, but I was under the impression at the time, or my philosophy at the time was, look, I'm okay with it. Children should be whatever religion the mom is. And she's like, that's not how it works. Good, strong Christian woman. She says, look, I'm going to marry a Christian man, I'd love for it to be you, but if it's not you, and I was under the, I said, I'm not going to just say I'm a Christian to say I'm a Christian. If I'm not, I'm not going to lie about it to you. That's dishonest, and I won't do that. So I met with Pastor Mike Potts was his name, over at First Presbyterian Church, and I've been to few the church services with him. I really like Mike, Dolphin fan. We talk. He's just a good guy to talk to, and I had a few sessions with him. And we talked about it. The first time I didn't accept Jesus. Met with him again because I enjoy talking to him, so I'd meet with him as much as he wants. And then he asked a question. He says, "Do you think you're going to heaven?" I said, "Yeah." "Well, why do you think you're going to heaven?" I said, typical answer you hear from non-believers. "Well, I'm nice. I treat people with respect. I don't really cause any problems. I think I'm going to heaven." And he says, "Well, that's not good enough. That's not going to get you to heaven." And this is right before my senior year, or this is actually right before Christmas of my senior year of college. So, you know, of course I was a college student, so I knew it all. So I said, well, where does it say that? Sarcastically, you know, and I just see this glow like this. I got you, you know, here we go. And, you know, and he opens up, I am the way, the truth, the life. No one gets to the Father but through me. And dwelled on that for a little bit, and it was December 23rd, 1993 is when I accepted Jesus. And to be honest with you, the one thing I lacked, and I tell people this, okay, you have a new believer, and I loved church altar call, I love that, but you need follow-up. I didn't have any follow-up because I left right back to Tampa, and it was just, you know, here's a couple of churches, you know, PCA churches, and that's what we are, and you can go to this, and I just didn't have that follow-up. So I was a Christian, but I really wasn't a practicing Christian, you know, and there's a lot of those, right? We see that. That's why the congregations at Easter are so big, and so I wasn't really practicing like I should. And even when we got married for a while, we went to church, and we didn't go to church, and then we had when we had my daughter, we said, look, we gotta get right with God. We gotta be a good Christian family and an example. And we did church shopping for a while, and that's not really fun, you know. A couple good ones, a lot of not bad ones, but ones that just you didn't feel the Holy Spirit. And I argued with God a lot, saying we found a church that I liked, but my wife and daughter didn't like it. So I was upset, you know, and then we found another one. We ended up settling on a church. And then they wanted to go to Calvary Chapel in Fort Lauderdale. And I was like, man, that's so far from the house. We tried that years ago. We didn't, you know, we ended up leaving there and this and that. No, we want to go. And I'm like, absolutely not. So we go there one day, and my wife's like, man, I feel the Holy Spirit. My daughter likes it. Now she's volunteering there with King's Kids, and my wife's volunteering. And so we're at Calvary Chapel, right? So then we had shortly after the Parkland shooting, my daughter, she was in 9th grade, but she should have gone to Douglas, but she didn't because she was a gymnast. And for middle school, we got her into the charter school because they got out earlier so she can train for gymnastics. And so she just continued with the charter for high school. But then after 9th grade, she's like, I think I want to go to a Christian school. And I was absolutely not. We can't afford that. I don't have the money for that. I appreciate the fact that you want to go to a Christian school. I don't have the resources for that. I got promoted like literally the next week. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess we have just enough money for that. And I said, I don't know if you'll get in because another Christian school shut down, so they had too many people applying for too few openings. But they interviewed. We got into the school. And then again, it's the third time I argued with it. We had the prepaid college in Florida, and she wanted to go to Florida Gulf Coast. She got into Florida Gulf Coast. I'm like, this is great, you know. I was still in a pretty dark place after Parkland, so I was like, all right, she's an hour and a half away. I can get there in 40 minutes if I have to, you know. And then she says, oh, I think I want to go to a Christian college. I said, well, the state of Florida doesn't have any in their university system that I paid for the last 17 years, so I don't know if that's going to be possible. So we did a tour, you know, and then we went to Liberty, and I looked at my wife. We were supposed to go to another school after Liberty, and I said, we don't need to go. We're not traveling anymore for colleges. She goes, why? I said, she's going to want to go to Liberty. And she goes, why do you say that? I'm like, all right, are your eyes open? I'm like, look at this place. It's like Disney World. It's like Christian Disneyland. I said, I want to go here. And so she applied and got accepted into Liberty, and I gave in again for that, and that's how she got to Liberty. And at that time, I met the chief of police there. Part of what we did, I was a captain at that point with Coral Springs. We were going around the country doing the lessons learned from Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooting. And I said, listen, we do this. It looks like my daughter's going to come here. If you want, I'll come up. We don't charge for it. I just need a place to stay. And he said, okay, I'll put you in touch with a guy. He's from Miami. He was a cop in Miami. So right now he's our emergency manager and my best friend up there in Virginia. But at the time he was a sergeant with the police department. So they brought me up there, did the lessons learned, and I kept in touch with them. It's always good to, when your daughter's 14 hours away, to if there's an emergency, to have somebody to call, or even just to say, hey, where do I go get tires that not going to rip us off? And then he would always call and say, hey, what are you guys doing about this? We're thinking of, building this out. We're building out an emergency management program where, what policies do you have? And I always thought it was really cool that, man, they're always looking to better themselves, And so I'm like, whatever you need. And when I went up there, I'd have lunch with them. So one day, and I had about a year and a half, I was in the drop. Had the best job ever. Had the school resource officers under me, training unit, a lot of the cool stuff, and community involvement. So, most of my career was in narcotics. So I actually got to go see and help people. It was fun. It was like a great supervisors. I mean, I had the best job ever. My buddy Jeff, who's the emergency manager, called and said, hey, the chief is retiring. Do you have any interest in becoming the chief at Liberty? I said, absolutely not. I think I hung up the phone on him because we have that type of relationship. I said, I got a year and a half and I'm going to Bass Pro and fishing. He goes, well, pray on it. I'll call you in about 5 days. And he called me back and he said, well, you know what? If I interview, again, I'm being honest here, I'm not perfect, and I regret it, but it's the truth, and they know this. I've told everybody. I said, if they interview me, they'll probably fly me up there, and I get to visit my daughter, because it's very expensive flying into Lynchburg Airport. It's a small little airport. So I said, listen, if they post it, I'll probably put my name in the hat and see what happens. He goes, they're not posting it. They want to talk to you. Can they talk to you? Of course they can talk to me. They can call me and talk to me. And we talked, and I was actually in the airport, and I probably shouldn't have got the call, but my flight was delayed. So I got the call, and we talked for about 15 minutes, and they said, we'd probably bring you in as the deputy chief. I said, whoa, that sounds much better, because I don't know anything about the college policing. And then, work your way up to chief when the chief retires. And they said, well, we'll talk to you when you get back. We'll call you the next day. And they did. And we talked about an hour and a half on the phone. And they said, we'd like to fly you up here. Okay, fly me up here. And we talked some more. And I still didn't know. My wife was all excited. She's like, yeah, Liberty, let's go. I said, you didn't want to move anywhere north of Georgia because it was too cold. Virginia, it's a little, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. She said, I don't care. We need to go up there. We should go. I said,
and you did say you wanted to go to Liberty, so.
Yeah, I wanted to go as a student. Yeah, so it was really the first time in my life that I can honestly say I prayed to God. I said, God, tell me what you want me to do. I'm surrendering to you. I love my job here. I'm good to stay. If you need me, you've been so good to me. I'm in a great place, a career much better than it should have ever been. If you need me up there, I'll go. But you got to make it clear, God, because I'm not that smart, and you know that. There were so many things that just happened that it was a no-brainer. So I took the job, and here I am. And we've done great things. I got great officers, and we've really come a long way. And in November, I'm coming back to Jacksonville for the CLIA. We're going to be accredited. We've never been accredited. We went through the process, and we should be if I don't screw up the interview, we should be receiving our accreditation in November.
That's huge.
So we're excited about that. We're part of things that Liberty Police Department has never been part of. ICAC, important things, right? ICAC. We're in the process of joining Joint Terrorism Task Force, having somebody assigned to that. And the people we've been hiring are people with the mission. Some retired from other agencies, but still have a little bit more that they want to give. People who've worked homicides, child abuse, sex crimes, from all over the country. We have from California, Florida, different areas in Virginia. We have 4 or 5 former SWAT people, 1 former SWAT commander. it's just it's really good. It's really exciting, and it's not. Sometimes it's tough because we have a lot of special events going on, and it requires security. But it's really, again, and I say this a lot, but it's really a mission. So it's not like a job, although sometimes you're tired and it's a lot of work. But it's you're doing something for a reason. You're not there just for a paycheck like some other agencies, unfortunately. You're there just for a paycheck. So I know that was a long version,
No, it
but
was
that's
good,
my
man.
story.
That's awesome.
If people want to join the mission, how do they do it?
You can go to the liberty.edu, Liberty University website. There's a link on there. You can do it one of two ways. You can link onto our police department website that goes right through there, or you can just link on the job site and type in police officer, and it'll start the initial application. It's like a short version of an application you fill out online, and it'll come directly to us. And if you have any questions, my phone number and everything's on there. Feel free to call our office, and we'll talk to you and answer any questions.
Awesome.
But we're in the process of revamping our website. You kind of caught us in the middle of it. We also just filmed a recruitment video, so they're in the process of editing that. So it's exciting stuff. Just sometimes it takes a while to get the great product out there. But
Love it. Greg, parting thoughts?
Yeah, man, that's great story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
You talked a lot about mission and culture. I think culture is so important. We talk a lot about culture here at the church. Culture is what keeps you on mission. And if you're not balanced in your culture and you're not deep in your culture, you can tend to get that 1 degree off of your mission, and then you're way off when you get down the road, right?
Right.
So I think you hit the nail on the head with culture. And then when you talk about mission, I think it's critical. Our pastor talks a lot about mission. When he talks about, he heard one time somebody said to him, they asked the question, what's more important, the mission of God or the glory of God? And the answer was, the mission of God is the glory of God.
Right.
So I think Liberty University is doing all the right things, man. We have a lot of staff members here. A lot of our student ministers come out of Liberty. We recruit out of Liberty for staffing. So keep up the great work.
Again, it's the university. We're such a small part of the university, but it's the overall Dr. Falwell's vision. And there's always hiccups along the way, but none of us is perfect. Our motto at Liberty, our mission statement for just the police department is protection through service. And that's who we are and what we do.
Yeah.
Protection. We're there to protect the campus, protect the kids, and in service. And we know who the best servant was ever, right?
Amen.
Jesus was the best servant ever.
That's right.
We'll never live up to that level, but we'll try.
That's right.
We'll do the best we can.
That's right.
And when we make mistakes, we fix them. But that's when we stick to the basics and our core values. I think it's a good thing, and I'm proud to be part of it. I'm privileged to be part of it.
I want to end on something you said that kind of struck a chord with me. So you talked about how your wife kind of dragged you to Jesus, right? How you weren't all there yet, and then she basically said, "Listen, here's your ultimatum. We're going to be a Jesus family." I have a good friend of mine, my business mentor for years, longtime friend. Ever since we moved out to Florida, our relationship is through text. Most guys text, right? We never talk on the phone. We text all the time. So I had reached out to him a couple of weeks ago and said, "Hey man, are you coming to this gala that we're doing at Mar-a-Lago?" And he responded and said, "Hey, I wish I could be there. I'm not going to be able to be there. Actually, I need prayers. I'm pretty sick right now." So of course, immediately I go to the oh my God, is it cancer? What's going on? He just turned 51 years old. He said, "I actually kind of need a miracle." He goes, I was diagnosed last year right before my 50th birthday with ALS, and I'm completely paralyzed now. And this is the dude who big life, big, strong, manly man, right? We'd smoke brisket together and go wakeboarding and everything. And he now communicates with me by staring at a screen to text. And man, I was brokenhearted, right? And so I'm praying for him every day. And he said to me, he's been asking for a miracle. He's praying for a miracle. And so I asked him if he knew the story about the 4 dudes who their buddy was super sick. I take creative liberty with my storytelling of the Bible to make it very understandable for everybody, right? 4 dudes said, man, our brother's super sick, so we're gonna throw him on a mat or bring him up onto a roof. We're gonna cut a hole in the roof and we're gonna throw him at Jesus' feet. I said, are you familiar with that story? And he said, I am. And then Jesus performed a miracle. I said, he did, but I think what gets lost on people is that everybody gets stuck on the miracle, right? We're all hoping and praying for that miracle. But what people miss in that story is kind of what your wife did for you, which is that they love you enough to bring you to Jesus, regardless of what it takes. And they put him on that mat and they carry him there. I said, brother, I know you're probably in a dark place right now, right? And that's why my men's group is praying for you, our family disciple group, everybody's praying for you. But let's not lose the mission here of having a few dudes in your life who are willing to throw you on the mat and bring you to Jesus if we're so focused on the miracle. And man, I would encourage every wife who's watching this show, if your husband isn't there, you are their mat carrier. Bring him to Jesus. My brothers who are watching this show right now, you've all got a friend out there. We at 1122, we call them your one more, right? Be willing to be bold in your faith. And that's what I love about what your wife did for you and what you do for your officers and what your officers do for your community is that boldness and that fortitude and that courage and that strength in an age where people are literally being assassinated for their belief. You guys are standing taller than any other university I've ever seen. You're standing prouder and you're saying, this is our belief system and we don't hate you or despise you for yours. We just want you to be a part of ours. And so I just want to continue to encourage you to have that boldness and have that courage, and serious props to your administration and the leadership there and everybody that's part of that community. So thank you for what you're doing, brother.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you all so much for hitting that share button. Thanks for watching. Thanks for telling an officer to go apply to work under this man, because I'm not a cop, but if I were, I'd want to work for you. So
sure.
God bless you all, and God bless America.
Most homeowners feel safe after locking their doors and setting their alarms, but alarms only alert you once somebody's already inside your home. And your doors, you can lock them, but the most vulnerable part of your home remains completely unprotected: the glass. Unprotected glass can be fully compromised after a single strike, leaving your home exposed in seconds. Glass is often never thought about until it's too late. Clear Armor Residential changes that. We strengthen your home where it matters most. For our installation process, we begin by measuring your glass to ensure an accurate fit and finish, and then we cut the material on site. Once the laminate is prepared for installation, we professionally clean the inside of your windows to ensure an optically clear look once the product is installed. Our team of experienced technicians then install the laminate on your glass with great attention to detail and precision. You're only billed for what's installed on your home, and you're never charged for any sort of wastage. Now, the most vulnerable part of your home is protected and will stay protected without any monthly fees or loss of power. Once installed, Clear Armor safeguards your home 24/7. Backed by a 10-year warranty, you can rest assured knowing your family and property are secure. If you're looking to have your home protected, visit us at clear-armor.com.